Good day, friends of the Philippine Retailers Association. Welcome to the 23rd episode of Let's Talk Retail. We're already on year one, so thank you so much for joining us every episode. And if you'd like to see the past episode, click subscribe, and you will be able to access all the past learning podcasts. Now, let me introduce our guest for today. Very interesting. It's a friend of mine. She's an award-winning thought leader with over 30 years of marketing, communications, and management experience under her belt. I met her when we were both in fast-moving consumer goods. I was in Coca-Cola and she was in Unilever. She's been with McDonald's Philippines. She's been with McDonald's Philippines for 17 years and is currently the managing director of its over 650 strong store network and 60,000 employee workforce. Ladies and gentlemen, may I introduce my friend Margot Torres. Hi, Margot.
Hi, CJ! My gosh, dito pa tayo magkikita ulit.
I know.
Virtual.
I know. It's always been virtual. I see you in the Go Negosyo. I listen to you in other forums. And I'm glad to see you. And hopefully you can come by the mall and let's have lunch one of these, Margot.
Oh, yes. I will take you up on your offer.
Otherwise, we'll start offers with our McDonald's and my quarter pounder. And I have a happy meal.
You have a happy meal.
Yeah. As I told everybody, we met each other in one of the 4 phases of your career, right? And you were in Unilever. Now, tell the audience about that very interesting journey of yours.
Yeah, so I've actually been working for like over 3 decades. Okay, just like you, don't deny. Okay. And I would classify it into 3 phases. The first phase is consumer marketing. So you mentioned I was in Unilever. That was my first job.
Okay.
And I think starting in Unilever really gave me the right foundation. It gave the right discipline, when it comes to marketing. Because Unilever is like postgraduate studies. You come fresh from college and then they really train you. You have the best mentors in Unilever who continue to mentor me actually until today. You build a lot of friendships and a network from Unilever. Nobody says it, but there's a Unilever mafia that exists.
I can imagine.
Yeah. So the second phase in my career is in technology and telecoms. So after consumer marketing, I felt I wanted a change. I wanted to learn a new industry. Actually, it was a choice at that point. Do I want to go to banking or do I want to go to telecoms? And okay, don't laugh. This is really going to date me badly. But my first telecom job was in Pocket Bell. Okay. Philippine Wireless Incorporated. I know. I don't know if your audience can relate to beepers. Okay. So I worked in Pocket Bell, and although my background is marketing and I was hired as marketing and sales head, I must say the learning I gained in telecom is much greater. It was about, managing people, leadership, and of course the technology. CJ, in Pocket Bell, I had to go back to engineering class. I had to attend a course in AIM to really understand about leased lines. And I mean, landline pa to, ha? But it's important, fundamental information for you to also understand cellular technology, okay, which is two-way technology. So even in Pocket Bell, I know it sounds so dated, we bid for cellular telephony. Okay, the bid never happened. There was a change in administration, but I also had to immerse myself working with Qualcomm, trying to understand cellular technology. So after Pocket Bell, I did get exposed to cellular technology with Extelcom. luma rin eh, no?
Eh,
Analog pa
otherwise,
yun. Analog pa yung technology, hindi pa nag-GSM. And then, after that, they gave me a, a job for the internet business. So it was called Express Internet. But shortly after, I joined a startup. So this dates me again. The startup is called EDSA Mail.
oh my God. All right.
Okay, yeah. I know you know it. It's a dial-up software. So hindi na uso ang dial-up ngayon, 'di ba? Dahil nandiyan ang data. But the software was designed so you get it for free, the email. And we make our money on advertising. So it was a perfect combination of my marketing background, including media, and then educating people about an interactive medium like EDSA Mail. Okay, so that is already the shades of the digital marketing today. And then I went to Smart. And Smart was my last job before I joined McDonald's. And McDonald's actually, yes, I've been here 17 years, but I'm turning 18. 18 years in December. That's next month.
18 years physically. Emotionally.
Oh, highly invested ako dito sa Golden Arches. So that's actually the third phase. So 3 phases. One is consumer marketing, the second is technology and telecom, and the third is fast food or the quick service restaurant industry.
I correct.
Ewan ko kung ano yung fourth phase ko pa.
Do you think there's another stop for the journey?
Oh, dapat ano na yan, baka nag-overlap na yung third and fourth phase ko. Maybe the fourth phase is really about paying it forward.
Which is what you're doing already with your involvement in the foundation.
Yes, and the partnership with government as well.
Exactly. So those 2 things. Now, across these 3 phases, I correct myself, 3 phases. What were the 4 key learnings that you had?
Wow, 4.
Oh,
okay.
Just 4.
Okay. I don't exactly recommend the career path I took.
Oh,
yeah, this is actually in 3 decades a span of 10 jobs.
Okay.
So if you average it, that's about 3 years per job, di ba?
Okay.
So I'm over-indexed already in McDonald's if you think about it, because it's gonna turn 18 years. But I asked myself, what made me stay? Okay, and I think the first learning is there really has to be an alignment of your personal values and the company's values. And I think more and more, may mga nagtatrabaho na rin akong anak, CJ, 2.
Oh my God.
Kids are already both working. Tapos na ang obligasyon ko to society. Napag-graduate ko na yung youngest ko. She's working also. And the way they think, these Gen Zers and soon the Gen Alpha, very important sa kanila yung giving back to the community, what you stand for, what is your purpose. And
giving back at the early time.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with the pandemic. That's really an important value for them. Kailangan clear yung purpose of the company that they are joining. And I think for McDonald's, that is so well defined. And it's not just about paying it forward or giving back, because our mission is to create feel-good moments for everyone. So that is at the heart of the business. It's about delivering the best food and the best service. Wala pa yung giving back to the community doon. That is part of how we generate our profit, di ba? After all, we're a restaurant and we provide an experience.
I'm gonna go back.
One.
I'm gonna go back to the intergenerational later. Okay.
Yes.
So you're 17 years already in McDonald's. McDonald's and you thought you've seen everything. 7 years means you've gone through a lot of crises and trying moments, also triumphs, right? Okay. Now, the pandemic hit. Stephen Tan told us there's no playbook for it. So what was your first reaction when, lockdown? What was your first reaction?
When actually the lockdown happened March 17, right?
Right.
As early as Feb, um, we were, of course, part of a global network. And we were already picking up signals, okay, that there's something happening that we need to prepare for. So I issued a message to especially our leadership team. And I said, let us prepare for what might be, a major crisis. I didn't think it would be a pandemic. I didn't think it would last this long. But I reminded them about who we are as a brand. And I told them that every decision we make moving forward will define who we are. It will define our reputation, not just as a brand or a company, but even ourselves as leaders. And I felt I had to ground everybody on that and what our vision is, our mission, and our values. So our core values have been unchanged. We remember it through an acronym, C-MITE.
Okay.
C is customer focused, M is malasakit, I is integrity, T is teamwork, and E is excellence. So, I had to bring that up kasi when you're about to face a crisis, everything that is inculcated in you will stem from that. Kung what is the culture of your company, what are the values of your company, and you should be guided by those decisions.
And I'm glad you brought it up. Malasakit. Okay. I saw it in your values in the website, and you now reiterated it. My question is malasakit innate or can it be taught?
I think it can be taught and it can be learned. Actually, it is such a beautiful Filipino word. Every time I have to explain this to people from McDonald's who obviously they speak English and I have to translate it, I could not find one word.
Not compassion?
Compassion is one. Empathy is another.
Okay.
That is also malasakit.
Okay.
Kung may malasakit ka, may empathy ka sa tao, may concern ka, may care ka. Okay. So there is no one word equivalent to it. That is how beautiful that Filipino word is. And malasakit for us is hindi lang kumpanya sa empleyado. Empleyado rin sa kumpanya. If you're not wasteful with the resources, may malasakit ka sa kumpanya. Or malasakit sa isa't isa with your teammates. Diba? Or parang typically kasi pag malasakit, parang iniisip ng tao, it's the bigger entity, which is the company with the resources, to its employees. But I think it is two-way.
Correct.
Two-way yan.
Correct. I'm glad you brought that up because we had two podcast guests who emphasized malasakit. Harvey Ong of Alpha Mart and Roy Quijada of with the Kuya J's group. And that was a very strong word for them. They talked about it also. And it seems to be a trait that needed to kick in the pandemic. Correct?
Yeah, and I think it's also an important trait for leaders.
Okay.
I think empathy, that's probably the closest translation for me for malasakit. It makes you vulnerable as a leader. And di ba, contrary to typical traditional belief, a leader has to know everything, a leader is of authority.
Correct.
So, ikaw boss diba? So, isa pa yon, misconception na porket boss ka, ikaw yung may leadership qualities. Not necessarily. may title ka lang. They even say leadership is a decision you make. Like we have a lot of leaders in McDonald's. They may not have the same rank as I do, or they may not, but yet they lead because they have the empathy and people will connect with them. I think as leaders, we have to understand the most basic function of a leader is to serve. It's service. And you cannot serve your employees well, or your teammates well, or constituents, if you like, if in a government position, if you have no empathy or understand their needs. So is that my second learning? Can that be counted as my second
Yes,
learning?
definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Definitely. Your third learning.
My third learning, I think, would be I connect hard work and excellence.
Okay.
Because, okay, 10 companies, right? But in every company, I really believe in the work ethic of, of putting in hard work. Because kung alam mo, mahirap yung pwede na.
Okay.
And I also see that, among different employees, those who excel are really the ones who put in time. Time to learn, time to even evolve and change, time to develop themselves, not just learn about the business, but really develop themselves. And if you have a higher standard of excellence and you always raise the bar for yourself, you will only get better. So like, alam ko medyo siyam na kumpanya yung dinaanan ko before I went to McDonald's. In fact, nung in-interview ako ni Kenneth.
Sabi ni Kenneth.
Sabi niya, Margot, why have you moved around so much?
Millennial?
Sabi ko, baka nga, born in the wrong year. Sabi ko, I can explain every single move.
Yeah.
But I said, one, it will be time consuming for me to explain it. And two, you have to take my word for it. Diba? But so why don't you just summarize it as immaturity and arrogance? Sabi ko kasi, if I look at my own patterns, parang bata pa ako, immature ako, I didn't know what I wanted. Pag hindi ko na type yung boss ko, yung solution ko umalis, di ba?
Okay.
Walang sense of resilience or persistence in my body at that time. Hindi ko naintindihan yon. So as I told him, there is a theory, there's a study actually. I forget from where, but people really naman will move from job to job and they stay on their fifth job.
Okay.
So sabi ni Kenneth nung interview, but you've already been to 9 jobs. So what's the point of the theory? So I go, well, maybe it works in multiples of 5. Gumanon ako kasi magiging 10th job ko to. Ewan ko kung yun ang reason na hinar niya ako. But I know he took a risk. I know he took a risk with me. And he just shared recently from the CEO of Twitter na parang you have to look daw for people who have loyalty is important, grit, okay, and resilience. Kasi, and you have to look at their past career history. So if they keep jumping around, sabi nung CEO ng Twitter, that's not a good hire. So sinagot ko yung boss ko, ha? So I'm an exception. Sabi niya, oo nga, sasagutin ko tong CEO ng Twitter, mali ka.
You're the outlier.
Oo, meron ako example na mag-18 years na dito. Pero muna, I just thought of a fourth.
Sige. Let's get it.
Through the 3 phases. Self-awareness.
Self-awareness. All right.
For anyone, regardless of what your role is, your position is, even in a marriage, okay, or in a friendship, self-awareness is important because one, it requires humility, but at the same time, it keeps you humble. Self-awareness means you know what you are good at, but you know what you're better and excellent at. When you know what you excel in, you know that is your strength. When you're good at it, you're probably like, okay, you're as good as everyone else. So it's at least you're on the average or maybe even above average. But you also have to know what you don't know, what you're not good at.
Interesting.
And it will help form your, I think, career path. And it shouldn't stop you also from saying, hindi ako magaling sa P&L, kunyari, sa finance. Aaralin ko yon. But it's also an admission to yourself. Merong mas magaling sa akin. Merong expert dyan. And when you start leading a team, you will value now the diversity of that perspective and the input of that team member. Because you can't be good at everything. Even when you reach a point like a general manager position, hindi mo talaga alam lahat. 'Di ba? Ang galing mo naman. At nakakaloka rin naman alamin mong lahat.
Ikaw
at an
na.
excellent level, 'di ba?
Yeah,
So,
that's
kaya ka nga nag-hire ng mga taong magagaling, 'di ba?
correct.
Para ma-leverage mo yung buong team. And they also have to be self-aware. Para alam din nila, because that's what they say, you know, alam mo naman buzzword ngayon, di ba? Aside from sustainability, is DEI, di ba? Diversity, inclusion. And it typically, when they talk about DEI, it's about your race, di ba? Culture, or your gender.
Okay.
For me, kasi diversity is in thought eh. Iba-ibang perspective talaga yung tao. Kasi ibang-ibang experience. But to reach a high performance of your team, there has to really be self-awareness from each team member among the team. Then you'll really be able to know na magaling tayo dito. Okay, and this is where we will win. Okay, dito hindi tayo masyadong magaling and this is where we will learn.
Okay, since you brought that up, okay, before I talk about the learnings of the pandemic, let's talk about organizational dynamics. Okay, so I'm a baby boomer. Kenneth is a Gen Xer. You're a Gen Xer. Your kids are millennials. Okay, and then you have a Gen Z also.
And a
right?
Gen Z.
So if I take a profile of McDonald's Philippines employee profile, I'm sure my age group is going out already. Your age group is here. But this will be where the millennials are. They'll be down. And the Gen Z also is coming in. Now, those are 4 different generations with different beliefs. How do you now manage that for the benefit of McDonald's Philippines?
Okay, you know, we have a course actually in the company. It's called Bridging the Gap.
Okay.
It's really a course focused on the different generations. So we have a few baby boomers pa naman, but many of them have started to retire. Gen Xers would typically occupy the higher level positions because they've been with the company longer. Millennials are also starting to occupy key positions. So they're like your second and third level in terms of management. Actually, meron na kaming Gen Zers. A lot in the stores because of our crew.
Right.
You know, we have working students.
Right.
Okay, and bata yan. Aside from the generations, I think it is also related to functional expertise.
Okay.
So when McDonald's started, it was very operations driven. So bulk of the people were really from the stores. It's still the heart of our business. Everything happens in the store. If we can't run the store well, we can't deliver anything. Diba? We can't deliver good service. We can't deliver great tasting food. We can't do it across channels. So the experts, and they're probably Gen X, and we had to groom already the millennials. They are experts in store operations. And you cannot naman say, oh no, I want a millennial workforce, because the value of the experience in operations of those Gen Xers are very critical to the success of McDonald's. Sila ang nakakaalam ng nook and cranny ng buong kitchen. Sila ang nakakaintindi of every single detail. Not just in cooking, but inventory management, and they can probably do it with their eyes closed. Okay, I respect them. I respect the restaurant general managers. I can't even do their job. It's so physically draining. You're on your feet for how many hours a day? And you have peak hours where it's just really, diba?
Right.
You have to make sure that it's organized chaos. Okay, and yet you have to serve with a smile.
Correct.
Yeah. So, yung millennials, I think the role they play comes from giving another perspective. Some of them are more digitally savvy, but not all. The Gen Zers, yan ang talagang digital generation.
Right.
Like my children, one is a millennial, the other one is Gen Z. I know I'm mistaken. I think they're both Gen Z. They are 3 years apart, CJ, but my son who's older is not as techy as my daughter. Because that younger generation, the ones who graduated just this year, the
Right.
pandemic graduates.
I saw that in your post.
Oo, the pandemic graduates. Yeah. They grew up talaga with social media eh. And laos na nga Facebook sa kanila, di ba?
Ano na?
Mga IG, Twitter, TikTok, stories, yan yung mga yan. I mean, no way are they gonna go to Facebook. Nandun ang tita-tito nila eh. Diba, nanay tsaka tatay. Sinasagot sila ng lolo't lola nila doon, napapahiya sila sa mga kaibigan nila. Ganyan. So, I think, because I believe talaga in diversity of thought and the composition of a team. One of my favorite books is Liz Wiseman.
Okay.
She wrote the book Multipliers.
Okay.
And everyone should be a multiplier versus the opposite, which is a diminisher. It means you multiply the intelligence of your team, which means you harness the strength of each one and you make the team dynamic so they are high performing. Yung diminisher is you diminish the intelligence, which is the opposite. You don't bring out that potential. So I'm not saying I'm a multiplier all the time, but I aspire to be. And there are different kinds of diminishers. There's an accidental diminisher and, things like that. But that's all in the book. And it's a really interesting read because it makes you realize, am I really multiplying the intelligence of the diversity, in the team we have? But I believe in McDonald's, each generation is really more related to the experience in the function. Because even the brand, the company has evolved. Very operations driven, then marketing started to come in. And then, dating consumer research na ngayon ay strategy and insights. Yeah. Diba? And then IT came in. Then of course, our development team. They're the ones taking care of our sites and our construction. So even the different departments, look at the technology department. When I started in McDonald's, the role of IT to me was wala akong email. Hindi gumagana ang printer ko. Using nyo yan.
Pangit ng connection ng internet.
Diba? Or kailangan ko ng bagong button sa POS at magla-launch ako ng bagong produkto. Kasi marketing yung role ko nung nag-start ako. So, Now it is so different.
Correct.
They are so involved in the business development because everything has a technology touch point already.
So you're strong on data analytics, big data.
Well, that's the next big thing for us. But yes, we have started our journey and we've invested. CJ, I don't know, I guess lucky that our digital journey started a decade ago, 2011. I was still the marketing head. And the only reason I got into digital marketing was I was up against a competitor who had a gargantuan budget. Okay. And I didn't know how to compete. I said, how am I gonna beat these guys? I didn't want a price war. We didn't have enough budget. The resources were limited. I didn't want that to be an excuse. So I asked myself, I know, because nanonood pa ng TV yung mga tao noon. Okay, marami pa tayong television network noon.
Correct.
Ano, parang in our industry, food, if you're not top of mind, they will not think of going to your restaurant. So you could not be out of television. But television prime time spots were expensive and they
Correct.
would the cost of it would rise every year. So I asked myself, what medium can McDonald's own and dominate? I had the choice. One was outdoor and the other one was digital, which was very new. I didn't choose outdoor because frankly, it's bench that dominates outdoor. Okay. And parang I might not also have enough budget to compete. So I said, sige, digital. Nobody at that time understood digital marketing and we invested and learned it. We started with 3% of our budget. Walang makakapansin nun sa kumpanya. Ang liit eh. But digital was so efficient, cost efficient. So we started to get into it. So by 2011, which was our 30th anniversary, we had a Facebook page. It wasn't like so many like the way it is now. And we had to learn how to manage content, how to create it, how to manage the page itself. Then we grew. We had Twitter, we had IG, we even had Tumblr, and we learned the social media assets early on. Then we learned online videos and, we started to get better. Coupled with digital marketing is creative excellence. Because if you don't have enough money, you have to have a really great and memorable creative material para tumatak.
Correct.
Diba? Kasi kulang pera namin eh. I can't air the spot 10 million times the way competition does. I can only do it half of the time.
So bang for the buck.
It has to cut through, yeah. So, that's the reason we started. But in the journey of digital for McDonald's and even for myself, because I continued to champion it, people didn't understand. They thought digital was a marketing thing. I said, no, I just happen to be the marketing head, but digital is a business solution. It's an imperative for the business. So, di ba, fast forward 10 years, pandemic.
Yes.
Parang suddenly, di nagkaintindihan tayo lahat. Bakit?
10 years later.
Oo, nasa 10 taon ko nang kinukulito. But along the way, we made the right decisions. We also made the decision to invest in e-commerce. So we already had a delivery website, 2009 pa lang. Okay. We had, kaya lang, Diyos ko, 0.02% lang ng transactions ang dumadaan doon dati. Then we developed our own delivery app. I think we were the first in the quick service restaurant industry, 2014. Hindi pa ganun kaganda yung experience. Pero di ba, the whole point of digital is take the first step, test and learn. It's progress over perfection. Yeah. And then because of that, maybe because we started early, we've built all our test and learn learnings. And so we will make fewer mistakes. We really tried to think like a startup. Now you have a minimum viable product. bring it out, and get feedback and iterate and make it better. So the other decision we made was, hindi naman pwedeng puro online. There has to be an offline digital component. And that's when we invested in the self-order kiosks, in case you visited any one of our next-gen stores. Yeah. You know, all of those decisions, build an e-commerce platform and make delivery work, build more drive-through stores, build stores with the self-order kiosk. When the pandemic hit, that's what made us survive. We had zero dine-in because of the restrictions. We lost our birthday parties.
Right. That's a big business.
Yeah, I mean, what? The kids just came out recently, right? So that's been 19 months. I mean, all our play places have been unused throughout the pandemic. And then, ang bumuhay sa amin, delivery, tsaka drive-thru. Kasi take-out yun eh.
Correct.
Meron pa rin pupunta sa tindahan, pero during the pandemic, take-out lang sila. They will, kasi wala, either maliit yung capacity ng dine-in or ayaw nila mag-dine-in dahil takot.
We'll go back to that.
Yeah.
Pandemic
so
customer.
that is to me, decisions we made in the past prepared us to survive the crisis, and now we are poised for growth.